My name is Maria Shar. I'm 34 and I work as a hospice nurse in Pittsburgh. On January 16, 2025, at 9:51 p.m., my grandmother, Eleanor, died after emergency surgery while I sat alone in the waiting room. I had called my parents 3 times. None of them came. 18 minutes after my first call, my father, John, texted, "You're already there. We'll come if she actually dies." She did. A week later at her funeral, the pastor opened a sealed note she had left. Its first line read, "If John is here, do not let him speak for me." What my parents didn't know was that my grandmother had prepared for this for a long time. And they didn't know I'm a hospice nurse who records everything. Timestamps, missed calls, visitor logs, every visit, every lie came at 4:30 p.m. on a Thursday. I was finishing my shift at Three Rivers Hospice, sitting in the break room with a cup of coffee I hadn't touched. My phone rang. UPMC Presbyterian. I've been a hospice nurse for 11 years. You learn to hear the meaning in someone's voice before they finish a sentence. The charge nurse transferred me to Dr. Laura Fitzpatrick. She got straight to it. My grandmother, Eleanor, had been brought in by ambulance 20 minutes earlier with a perforated bowel and advancing sepsis. They needed to operate within the hour. She told me to understand this was high risk. Her age, the infection, the stress on her heart. She might not survive. I grabbed the napkin under my coffee and started writing. Perforated bowel, sepsis, high risk. I didn't need to, but writing keeps me steady. "I'm coming," I said. 15 minutes. "Is there other family we should contact? I'll call them." I hung up and immediately dialed my father. 4 rings, then voicemail. I called my mother. 6 rings, voicemail. I stared at my phone, trying to process that neither of them had answered during a family emergency. I opened our family group chat, the one my mother set up last year to keep everyone connected, and typed, "Grandma in emergency surgery. UPMC Presbyterian. Critical. Need you here now." Sent at 4:51 p.m. The message delivered immediately. Then, seconds later showed as read by John and Diane. I waited. I grabbed my coat and bag, knocked over my untouched coffee, and I waited. Nothing. I got in my car and drove. UPMC Presbyterian is 14 minutes from the hospice. I drove with my phone on the passenger seat. Screen up, waiting for it to light up. Anything. At 5:02 p.m., my phone buzzed. Not a call. A text from my father. "You're already there. We'll come if she actually dies." I read it twice, then again. A car honked behind me at a green light. I kept driving. I parked in the garage. Level 3, spot C29. I even took a photo of the sign so I wouldn't forget where I'd parked. Then walked into the hospital, rode the elevator to ICU, and checked in. The nurse, Bethany, handed me visitor badge A1293. "Are other family members coming?" they asked. I lied. I don't know why I lied. Maybe admitting that my father had said he'd only come if his mother died felt too humiliating. Bethany walked me to the ICU family waiting room. Pale blue walls, 8 chairs, a vending machine, a window over the parking lot. 9 other people were there. An elderly man asleep, a woman knitting, 2 sons, whispering. I sat in chair D7 facing the hallway to the O. At 6:11 p.m., they took Eleanor into surgery. A nurse told me it could be 2 to 4 hours. I nodded and pulled out my phone, texting my parents again. "She's in surgery. Read at 6:14 p.m. No reply." Over the next 4 hours, I sent updates every 30 minutes like I was filing an incident report. Still waiting. No news yet. Surgeon hasn't come out. Every message was read within minutes. None were answered. At 7:43 p.m., another nurse asked if my family was coming soon. I said, "They're on their way." Another lie. At 8:15 p.m., I bought coffee from the vending machine, burned my tongue, but kept holding the cup because I needed something in my hands. An older woman next to me asked how long I'd been waiting. "Almost 2 hours," I said. "Is your family with you?" she asked. I looked at her, wanted to tell the truth, but instead said, "They're coming." She smiled. Good. No one should wait alone. I walked back to my chair and started crying. At 9 p.m., the shift changed. A nurse named Gregory checked the visitor log and looked at me. Still. "Just you?" I nodded. "Do you need us to call anyone?" "No," I said. "They know." At 9:47 p.m., the doors opened. Doctor Fitzpatrick came out in her surgical cap, mask pulled down. I stood. I've seen the face doctors make 100 times at work. I know it means they're about to tell you the person you love is gone. She approached. "Miss Schaefer, I'm so sorry. We did everything we could, but her heart couldn't sustain the procedure. She rested at 9:51 p.m. We were unable to resuscitate." I heard myself ask, was she in pain? She was under anesthesia the entire time. She didn't suffer. I thanked her. She looked smaller than I remembered. Her hands were still warm. I stayed 10 minutes, sat beside her, and whispered, "I'll protect you. I don't care what they say. I'll make sure people know who you really were." Then I left, sat on a bench near the elevators, and called my father. He picked up on the third ring. "Yeah, Dad," I said. "Grandma didn't make it. She died in surgery." Pause. "Okay," he said after 3 seconds. "We'll handle arrangements tomorrow." I waited for more. Anything. He didn't say anything else. "That's it?" I asked, my voice cracking. "That's all you're going to say?" "What do you want me to say, Maria?" "She's gone. I want you to say you're sorry you didn't come. I want you to ask if I'm okay." "You're fine," he said. "You work with dying people. This is what you do." Then he hung up. Call duration 47 seconds. I took a screenshot. I called my mother next. She picked up on the second ring. I could hear the television in the background. "Mom, Grandma's dead." I said. Pause. "Oh, well, I suppose that's for the best." "She was suffering." "She wasn't suffering," I said. "She had a ruptured bowel. It was sudden." "Are you coming to the hospital?" she asked. "What for? She's already gone, isn't she?" I didn't answer. "Your father will take care of the details," she said, and hung up. I sat on that bench for 20 minutes, then drove home. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat at my kitchen table and started making a list. The next morning, my father called at 9 a.m. He'd chosen Kowalski Funeral Home and said I should handle coordination since I was off work anyway. "I'm not off work, Dad," I said. "I took emergency leave." "Well, you're a nurse. You know how these things work." "I'm a hospice nurse, not a funeral director," I replied. He sighed like I was being difficult. "Maria, just do it. We trust you." That afternoon, I met Raymond Kowalski. Kind, early 60s, silver hair, soft voice. As I signed paperwork, he gently asked, "Will your parents be involved in planning?" I didn't know how to answer. My father thought I should do it because I work with dying people. Raymond set his pen down. "That's not the same as burying your own." Near the end of the meeting, Raymond mentioned my grandmother had prearranged things 2 weeks earlier, chosen the casket, selected hymns, written instructions, and left a sealed envelopes, one with Pastor Callahan at St. Agnes, one with her lawyer, Gerald Puett. They were to be opened only if certain people were present. My chest turned cold. Over the next few days, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying my father's text. "We'll come if she actually dies." I kept thinking about how they never called the hospital. Not once. On January 18th at 2 a.m., I opened my phone and started counting. 11 unanswered calls, 8 text messages sent during surgery, 1 reply. I took screenshots of everything. I couldn't stop. On January 19th, I requested the official visitor log from UPMC. They printed it that afternoon. January 16th, 2025. Patient Eleanor Schaffer. Visitor Maria Schaffer. Badge 1 to 93 for 45 p.m. to 10:22 p.m. No other names. That same day, I went to Eleanor's house to pick out funeral clothes. On the kitchen table was a manila envelope with my name in her handwriting. Maria, open if I don't come home. Dated January 10th, 2025, 6 days before surgery. I sat at her yellow Formica table and opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter, photocopied hospital documents from 2017, and a USB drive labeled voicemails. The letter began, Maria, if you're reading this, I'm gone. I need you to know some things while the truth still matters. She told me she hadn't expected my father to come, and that she'd made peace with it. She'd instructed Dr. Fitzpatrick to call only me if things became critical, and had signed legal paperwork to that effect. She wrote, you've always been the one who stayed. When I was lonely, you came. When I was afraid after the stroke, you sat with me. You didn't check your watch. You just stayed.